inequalities. Things that are inequalities. It tells you that things that are not equal. And we have the inequality signs that hopefully you remember from back in the day. This is the greater than sign. This is the less than sign. You can put equal things under it. This is the greater than or equal. And this is the less than or equal. In addition to those, though, because they're going to give you, they'll give you story problems, and you kind of have to read kind of into them a little bit. For example, if something said, Bob is not more than 8 years old, what would that look like in a mathematical sentence? Well, Bob, you have to think about this. What inequality is the same as saying not more than? So you'd have to kind of think about this. What could Bob be? Could Bob be 8? Is 8 not more than 8? Could Bob be 7? Yes. Okay. Could he be 6?
Yes.
So you know Bob has to be less than 8, right? But could he be equal to 8? Yes, because 8 is not less than 8. So this, not more than, is the same inequality as less than or equal to. They call it a trichotomy thing. And trichotomy means when you compare two things, when you compare two numbers, you only have 3 options. Either the first is bigger than the second, or the first is smaller, or the first is equal to. And 2 of those things, this says you can't be more than, so the other 2 things have to be true. Not more than means the first is not bigger than. So these 2 would be true. Let me give you another example. What if it said, what if the words were, don't worry, I will find something good. Well, I don't know if there's what if it was not greater than? Or wait, not less than. Not less than. If something is not less than, what would it be? It's not less than, so it has to be bigger than or equal to. Not less than is the same thing as greater than or equal to. And what they're going to ask you to do is they are going to ask you to solve and graph something. We've graphed inequalities before, haven't we? Let's look at this. Let's say x is greater than or equal to 3. The only way to graph inequalities is to put them on a number line. Why don't we put them with an x and y axis? Because there's no y numbers. It's just one solid line. How do you graph this? Well, you just have to look at the number that's there. This is a 3. So there's going to be a circle at 3. Okay, there's no other options there. And since x is greater than that, anything bigger than 3 is an answer. This side is where all the numbers become bigger, because this would be 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So you put an arrow on this side because it goes forever that way. By the way, a good little check for that is this. See this thing here? Same as that arrow there. Kind of that same shape. And then the last thing you have to think about is if there's an equal sign, you have to color in this dot. If it is not got an equal sign, that is an open. We should probably write that down. If equal color in dot. If no equal sign is there, it's an open circle. Color in dot, if no equal, open circle. Give you a chance to jot that down, and we'll do a couple. Let's look at just a few here. So here, how about this? X is greater than -2. X is less than 8. X is greater than or equal to 4. Graphing these could not be any easier. Again, you just put a -2 on the line, put a circle there. Now, which way does the line go? X has to be bigger than, so it goes off in this direction. And do I color in that dot or not? Is there an equal sign down there? No. So that means that's open circle there. An open circle, ladies and gentlemen, means that it starts at -2 but doesn't include -2. Okay, because if I put -2 here, is -2 greater than -2? No. So I can't put -2 there, but the very next little smidge over, you know, -1.8 or whatever would be greater than -2. So it doesn't include -2, but it has to start right there. Same thing for this one. Here at 8, it's an open circle because there's no equal sign, but it's all numbers less than 8, so it goes this direction here. Again, keeping in mind, look at these symbols are the same as the arrows. It starts at 8 but doesn't include 8. Anything just a smidge lower than 8 would be true. Maybe it's 7.5 or 7 3/4. Boom. This one here, open circle or closed circle at 4, equals, so it has to be a closed circle. What direction does my arrow go? Oh boy. Brady? Right. To the right. Notice this goes this way, this goes this way. And when you write this on your paper, this is the bare minimum I have to see. Okay? Don't just give me this dot and I'll write this and call that, because I don't know where it starts or I don't know. Give me a number line, put a number. Now, lest you thought that was all, children, lest you thought that was all, you are going to have to sometimes solve inequalities like this. 3x plus 1 equals, I'm sorry, not equals, but is less than or equal to 7. Please know, ladies and gentlemen, you solve inequalities just like equations. Solve just like equations. If this was a regular equation, what would I do? I get rid of the 1 by subtracting it, right? I subtract 1, I subtract 1. This becomes a 6. Now I have a 3x is less than or equal to 6. What's the last thing I'm going to do there? Anybody out there in the mathematical world? How do I get rid of the 3 in front of the x? I divide by 3. And when I divide by 3, 6 becomes a 2. So x is less than or equal to 2. What does the graph of that look like? At 2, it is a closed circle, and it goes this direction here. Any number less than 2 is going to fit this equation. Problems, concerns? Now, do me a favor, look at page 425. You on page 425? We are going to do a little exercise with this sort of thing, but I want to give you a warm-up problem here. Because if you can't do the story problems, you can't do nothing. Look at letter A. You with me on letter A in the practice? Sure, we are. Yes, Mr. Hunt.
Yes, Mr. Hunt.
Carry on.
Carry on.
Letter A says, Alicia has a number in mind. If she adds 3 to her number, the result is less than 5. Use the information to write and solve an inequality about Alicia's number. What inequality would that stand for? Alicia's thinking of a number. If she adds 3 to the number, the answer is what? Less than 5. So here's what the first thing you do is this. You got Alicia, you don't know Alicia's number, right? So you just sit down and say, okay, x is going to be Alicia's number. What are you doing to x? Alicia does what to x? She adds 3 to it. So x you have to add 3 to it. And then her answer is what, does it say? Less than 5. So there is your inequality / it's not an equation because it doesn't have equal sign in it, but that's your inequality. Now, how do we solve it? Aiden?
You subtract 3.
Subtract from 3 from both sides. So x has to be less than 2, and then you would graph that as 2, anything less than 2. Anything less than 2. Is there another example of that? No, I don't like letter F. Now, what you are going to do, children, I've got something more fun than life itself.